The deck everyone's been waiting for at least a decade, Myr Tribal. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that this is not the kind of deck that runs infinite combos and artifact shenanigan type stuff. This deck is strictly Myr Tribal in a classic make more and make them bigger type way. Now, let's begin. Urtet, Remnant of Memnarch, makes mirrors when we cast mirrors. So there are like 30 or more of them in the deck, so yeah. He also untaps all our mirrors during combat, which just makes for a really good time. And finally, we can pay Wooburg and tap and put 3 +1/+1 counters on all our mirrors during our turn. Big, chonky mirror boys. Let's go, and we'll make them bigger. Now, ramp. I don't usually cover ramp in these videos, but it is extremely important to do in a mirror deck, turns out. Plague Mirror taps to add 1 colorless. Copper Mirror, Gold Mirror, Iron Mirror, Leaden Mirror, and Silver Mirror each tap for a specific color, and they are all staples in this deck and others like it. Alloy Mirror and Mirror Convert both tap to add 1 mana of any color. Mirror Convert basically gives us any color for Phyrexian mana, so that's pretty awesome. Sol Ring and Palladium Mirror both tap to add colorless. Now, it can't go without Sol Ring, seeing as most of these mirrors cost 2 generic to cast, and Palladium Mirror does the same. Mirror Reservoir. Add 2 mana to your mana pool, spend this only to cast mirrors or activate abilities of mirrors, and you can pay 3 and tap it and return a mirror from your graveyard to your hand. Just this one skyrocketed in price, it needs to be reprinted, but it's an incredible card and it should definitely be in any mirror deck. Chromatic Lantern gives all our lands the ability to tap for any color, and it's a 5-color deck, so being able to use this mana of any color, it just comes very handy. Mirror Army. In addition to all the mirrors we've just covered, this deck features a ton of other mirrors. Not even all of them. They all do various things, but they're all mirrors, so some of them may seem a bit boring, but keep in mind our commander can make them really large. Mirror Enforcer, this has affinity for artifacts. Hover Mirror has flying and vigilance. Darksteel Mirror has indestructible. Ichorclaw Mirror has infect, and whenever it becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Perilous Mirror, when it dies, it deals 2 damage to any target. Mirror Scrappling and Knighted Mirror. You can sacrifice Mirror Scrappling to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Knighted Mirror has Adapt, and whenever 1 or more counters are put on it, it gains Double Strike until end of turn. So these are 2 are kind of in the section for a reason, right? Sacrifice Mirror Scrappling, put a counter on Knighted Mirror, gains Double Strike, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Sun-Touched Mirror just has Sunburst, and when it enters the battlefield, it enters with a +1/+1 counter for each color of mana spent to cast it. Lodestone Mirror has Trample, and you can tap an untapped artifact you control to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. Mirror Mind Servant, you can pay 2 and tap it to shuffle your library. This comes in handy with all those kind of steal your stuff type decks where everybody reveals the top card of their library, and then you can just shuffle it, stuff like that. It's kind of weird, but maybe a little niche. Kind of fun. Mirror Quadrupod, you can pay 3 to switch its power and toughness until end of turn. Mirror Propagator, you can pay 3 and tap it to create a copy of itself. Mirror Sire, when it dies, you create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mirror artifact token. It has been errata since all is 1. Mirror Superion, spend only mana produced by creatures to cast the spell, so you can use your mirrors to cast a bigger mirror, and it's 2 mana, so it's just amazing. Mirror Welder has Imprint, and you can tap it to exile target artifact from any graveyard, and it has all activated abilities of all cards exiled with it. That's pretty awesome. You can get some pretty cool effects from around the board. Shimmer Mirror has Flash, and you can cast artifacts as though they had Flash. Mirror Kinsmith. ETB, search for a mirror into your hand. That's just amazing in any deck. Any sort of tutor is just great. Mirror Battlesphere, when it enters, you create 4 1/1 mirrors. And when it attacks, you can tap X, untap mirror you control, and if you do, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, and it deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. That's incredible, especially with how many mirrors are here. Mirror Turbine, tap it, put a 1/1 colorless mirror onto the battlefield, or you can tap it and tap 5 untap mirror you control to search your library for a mirror card onto the battlefield. That's so good. Oh boy, this one's amazing, and it looks almost exactly like Mirror Matrix for some reason. These 2 cards really get me confused. Mirror Smith, okay, I lied. This is not a mirror, but it does make mirrors whenever we pay one when we cast artifact spells. Okay, so it's pretty awesome. And Brutaclad, Telcore Engineer. Now I lied again, Brutaclad is not actually a mirror for some reason. It's got too many types apparently, so mirror wouldn't fit on the line. It's really weird. But anyway, now that injustice is out of the way, he does just make more mirrors on our combat phase. So there's just the possibility of being a ton of them, and then Urtet can make them bigger. Do you see where I'm going with this yet? Card draw. Now, more cards means more mirrors, so let's do it. Parcel Mirror and Sarcomite Mirror, both of these sacrifice to draw a card, and they're mirrors as a bonus. Experimental Augury. I always like cards that give you a choice as to what you draw, so this helps filter out the cards that aren't needed at the time a little bit, and it proliferates all our counters from our commander. Ichor Wellspring, ETB draw a card, and then it goes to the graveyard, you draw a card, easy peasy. Serum Tank. Well, whenever it or another artifact enters the battlefield, you put a charge counter on it, and just about 80% of the deck is artifacts, so this will always have at least one charge counter on it. Beast Whisperer and Canoptic Spider. Whenever we cast a creature spell, draw a card, and whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, draw a card. I love these two, just immediate value all the time. Symmetry Matrix. Whenever a creature with power equal to its toughness enters, we can pay 1 to draw a card. And most of these mirrors are 1/1s or 2/2s or something like that, so this could possibly happen a lot. Thopter Spy Network. Whenever our artifacts deal damage to a player, we draw a card, and this also makes Thopters on the side as a bonus. Extra Power. I said this was a classic tribal deck, so adding extra power to our little guys sounds like a really good plan. Mirror Galvanizer, a mirror anthem effect on a mirror that also untaps all our mirrors. What's not to like here? Next up, we have Mirror Matrix. Now, Mirror Matrix is indestructible. All your mirror get +1/+1, so it's an anthem effect, and you can pay 5 to put a 1/1 mirror onto the battlefield. Pretty awesome. It's perfect. Adaptive Automaton. This one is definitely a mirror. It says that it can become a mirror, and then all of those mirrors get +1/+1. What's not to like with this guy? Vanquisher's Banner and Door of Destinies. Slightly different anthem effects here, both choosing mirror, extra card draw for our mirrors, as well as extra power from the mirrors we cast in the case of Door of Destinies. Protection. We are probably going to be targeted hard for having so many little creatures out, so we'll need to protect ourselves well. Counterspell. Need I say more? This is very valuable. Lazotep Plating. This gives our stuff hexproof for the turn. Not being able to target us feels amazing, and then you amass whatever. Heroic Intervention gives our stuff hexproof and indestructible for the turn. 1 Vandal Blast and we're done for. So this is very important. Padim, Console of Innervation, gives all our stuff hexproof again, and we'll possibly draw some cards as well. Bronze Guardian. This gives all our artifacts Ward 2, and it also comes with a very large body with double strike to swing with. Darksteel Forge. Artifacts we control have indestructible. The best card in the deck. If our stuff isn't protected, it's GG. Again, 1 Vandal Blast kills the whole deck, so keeping it safe is key to victory. Removal. Now on the other end, we do need some interaction, so here's a few things. Serum Snare. We can return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and if that permanent has mana value 3 or less, we proliferate. So a small bounce effect, and if the condition is met, will proliferate. Urtet Likey. Drown in Ichor, small creature remover that also proliferates, and 4/4 is pretty darn effective in a lot of cases if you think about it. Return to Dust. We can exile an artifact and or enchantment, and it's even better on our main phase because we can choose both. Dispatch. You attack a creature, but if you control 3 or more artifacts, you exile that creature. This is a better Swords to Plowshares in an artifact deck. Straight exile the creature, but don't let your opponents gain the life. If you're doing white artifacts, this is the card for you. Utility, and by utility I mean mostly graveyard stuff, but one other thing as well. Mirror Retriever and Junk Diver both retrieve an artifact from our graveyard when they die. And oh hey look, one's a mirror. Would you look at that. Trash for Treasure. Sack an artifact to get 1 back from the dead straight to the battlefield. Dance of the Manse. Get X artifacts back from our graveyard, and if X is 6 or more, those artifacts come back as 4/4 creatures. Not a bad deal at all. Mirror Works. This lets us copy our mirror spells for 2 mana. So think about it. you're getting an extra mana dork for 2, or an extra Superion for 2, or just whatever else for 2. This makes you go extra far and stretch the deck to its limits. Win cons. Last section is all about how we're going to win on top of our commander's ability that makes all our mirrors massive. Noxious Assault gives all our stuff +2/+2 and punishes the blocker's controllers by giving them poison counters. This could win in a couple of ways if you think about it. Triumph of the Hordes, a small buff for our stuff, but all our mirrors will gain trample and infect for the turn, making it a very scary situation for our opponents. And the last card, Door to Nothingness. Why would you put that in there, Manfred? Why would you're probably thinking, why would you put that in there? Well, this one is just special to me. So you see, when I first started playing Magic, we played in between classes. 3 of us would play our 60 card decks before class, and we'd always just have a freaking blast. Mirrors are nostalgic for me because one of my friends would play his 5-color mirror deck, always casting them, getting them back from the graveyard, etc. And since he had all 5 colors, his win cons was Door to Nothingness. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen at the time, and I was so impressed with how the deck ran. It took a while to build up, but we knew that if we let him do it, we'd die immediately. So it was just a lot of fun times, and probably the best semester I ever had while I was in college. So anyway, thanks for listening to my little story, and thank you so much for watching this long. I love mirrors, and I'm glad they're seeing the limelight again after all these years. Thanks again, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell button so you don't miss your weekly dose of magic.